Behaving Wealthy presents the High Worth Shift podcast. Behaving Wealthy. Be, have wealth. Who do you have to be to have wealth? The only difference between rich and broke is worthiness. Your behaviors and your habits are a reflection of your feelings of worth. I'm Robin A. Young, and I'm here to give you enough simple rich behaviors to increase your worth, your wealth, and your freedom. In fact, my promise to you is that every rich behavior I share could yield you 3 times richer results, creating your high worth shift. Welcome back to the High Worth Shift podcast. It's Robin A. Young, certified financial planner and CEO of Behaving Wealthy. And I'm so excited that you've chosen to spend your valuable time with me. Do you CYA? You've heard of CYA, cover your assets. How do you cover your assets? Are you covering your assets? Assets are your precious items or resources. Think of what you treasure: your life, your loved ones, your income, your investments, your home, and other things you own. We all know that life happens when incidents occur that threaten your standing or what matters most to you, such as unexpected car repairs or accidents, illnesses, injuries of self, parents, children, spouses, or siblings, deaths of loved ones, natural desires that damage assets, any other urgent family matter. Are you protected in the event of such an emergency? Do you have an emergency fund? Do you know how much you need given your unique situation? Let me share a few tips about emergency funds and emergency accounts. High income earners and high wealth individuals treat emergency funds differently. High income earners treat emergency funds and savings accounts as overdraft accounts or temporary places to park cash. High wealth individuals treat emergency funds as strictly protective asset tools. Therein lies the significant difference. Wealthy people protect their assets, the living and inanimate ones. What's most important to note is that life happens to everyone. The difference is in the tragedy's impact on a life. Does it wipe you out or put your family or assets at risk? Or could you go to an overflowing emergency fund and cover the difficulty and get back to your life with relative ease, as if it was just a blip in the road? If your life resembles the former and not the latter, then you're making your life unnecessarily hard. If you don't have an overflowing emergency fund, then unexpected costly events can be quite disruptive. You know, the low level of anxiety that results from robbing Peter to pay Paul, or the insecure feeling of seeing your savings account balance dwindle to uncomfortable levels, or worse, having to use lost debt to weather storms. The underlying reasons for not having the correct protection are twofold. People use funds that should be exclusively dedicated to emergencies as an overdraft option to cover unplanned uses. In many cases, it's just a matter of not realizing how important it is to have an account that you never touch unless it is absolutely necessary. Or it could also be a symptom of mindless spending and not realizing the opportunity cost of not being protected. Savings that are used as an overdraft account are chaotic and confusing, leaving you exposed unnecessarily. And the second cause for not having this critical protection is a lack of planning. Too few people can answer these planning questions accurately. How much do you really need in an account that isn't touched except for true emergencies? How do you prepare for unfortunate yet predictable expenses? We all know that we'll have to replace tires or cover car maintenance on older cars quite predictably. It is a virtual certainty that at a certain point in owning a home that large appliances will need to be replaced. Too few people plan for these foreseeable expenditures. So the lack of planning sets you up for the rat race of taking 2 steps forward and then being forced into 3 steps backward. Financially independent individuals approach emergency funds differently. They are laser focused on maintaining financial security. Therefore, they allocate the time and money necessary to ensure they and their loved ones are safe and protected. They recognize that they cannot control life, but they act on what they can control, which is how they respond to whatever life throws their way. They make sure their life is as seamless as it can be given any circumstances that may arise. How do they do that? Wealthy people have not just full emergency funds, but funds that are overflowing enough to create contentment and calm. They enjoy richer results because they are covered. Imagine feeling confident you can weather any storm life sends your way. You are a decision away. Decide to take today's baby step. Today, I want you to start working on the 6 millionaire goal, building an overflowing emergency fund. Begin to CYA, create protection for your treasures, your life, your loved ones, your income, your investments, your home, and other things you own. Your overflowing emergency fund is an accumulation goal, which will ensure that you can maintain your lifestyle and safeguard your future freedom. Today's rich behavior is to move your emergency funds to an online bank or credit union. The reason? To stop treating it as an overdraft account. In fact, transfer it to a place that you will not see the balance and an institution that it's not easy to access. This will help you shield these important funds from unplanned spending. This allows these monies to accumulate without money drains. Let it be there for you when you really need it. This account is not to be touched unless 3 criteria are met: expenses that are one time, unexpected, and over $1,000. Any other expenditures can be planned for in advance. Once you create this critical protection tool, please commit to leaving it alone. This account is off limits. No dipping to cover expenses until payday. The only purpose worthy of touching these monies: unforeseen circumstances that meet the 3 criteria of one time, unexpected, and over $1,000. One caveat about any overflowing emergency account: the purpose of this money is protection, not growth. Don't be concerned with growing this money. This money is not for appreciation. It has the specific purpose of standing guard for your current and future freedom. It is important to note that once you have exactly how much you need in emergency funds, that you reallocate any excess money so it can work harder for you through investing. That's why I want you to know exactly how much you should have in your unique emergency fund. You can hire me to calculate your unique emergency need. Each person's account is different based on distinctive preferences and current facts. For example, marital status, number of household incomes, ease of replacing incomes. Your various mix of answers will figure your actual need. If you're interested in getting my help, then I would be happy to run our money habits calculator created from working with high worth individuals. If you want me to determine your personal emergency number, then text emergency fund to 888-85-WORTH. Text emergency fund to 888-85-WORTH. Constructing an adequate emergency fund seems like a no-brainer, right? Well, why wouldn't people have enough in their emergency funds? I found that it's a form of money avoidance. People use these 3 money avoidance tactics, resulting in inadequate emergency funds. 1, spending without boundaries. When you spend without boundaries, that means you are avoiding knowing your general financial numbers. What do you earn, spend, need, and want? Number 2, not knowing your exact emergency need. This is money avoidance because you aren't facing your unique protection requirements. And finally, number 3, saying no when you cannot afford it. Unconsciously, people associate that saying no to their desires means that they are unworthy of those desires, which triggers destructive shame. Remember, most people say no when they cannot afford an item. People rarely learn the discipline of allocating for priorities first. In truth, saying no to lower priorities leads to riches. That requires that you know what your goals are and the priority of importance of those goals. Wealthy people balance now desires with later desires. They've mastered money habit number 1, see it. They know what they want with great specificity. You must know your priorities and have a clarity of vision to spend accordingly. What's most important to you? How do you want to spend your life? Allocate resources, your time, your talent, and your money according to your most important goals. And I'm sure that one of those important goals is financial security. Protect you and yours. Embrace what it takes to create money security and maintain your unique emergency amount. There's so much comfort on the other side of the right amount of cash necessary to cover rainy days. Do what rich people do. Defend your current and future freedom and CYA. Cover your assets. Now that you know today's rich behavior, it's time to make your move. Tell us when you complete today's rich behavior and what richer results you experience because you took today's baby step. Text 888-85-WORTH, 888-85-96784. We want to know how you are increasing your worth, your wealth, and your freedom. I know you're worth it, and I want you to know you're worth it. Most importantly, I want you to behave like you're worth it. If you loved what you learned today, please be sure to hit the follow button so you never miss a future episode, and leave a review to help me reach even more listeners just like you looking to maximize and turn their hard-earned income into more. The High Worth Shift podcast is created and copywritten in partnership with Robin A. Young and Behaving Wealthy. Be sure to rate, review, and follow the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Especially, be sure to rate, review, and follow the podcast if you really liked it. My promise to you is in every episode to give you one rich behavior that can yield you 3 times richer results. That gives you a 300% return on your time spent with me. Remember, richer results are on the other side of today's rich behavior. You are worth more. It's time to make your move.
Make your move. It's time to focus on yourself. Make your move. Baby, don't mind nobody else. Make your move. Do things that make you happier. Yeah. Make your move. Yeah, you can do it, just relax. Hey, baby, and trust yourself. Good things tend to take some time. Remember, you're the one in charge.